Hello, it's me, Ade of StirUpYourPurpose. How are you? I believe your day is going great. Don't call me black. That was a video, I did a video around that topic some time ago. And normally, like I said in that video, when I come across people that still like to refer to themselves as black, I just share my own opinion around being called this label. I remember not quite long ago, I was talking to somebody and the person just kept on, referring to that same label, calling themselves, black. And as usual, I always kind of explain myself. Why are you calling yourself black? Why are you using that word? Why are you using that label? Who called you black? And normally, whenever I mention that, people always kind of taken that back and say, what do I mean? And as usual, I state my point. I state the reasoning why I take that what I call it, that mindset. And sometimes they understand, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. And this person actually went back home, I guess. It kind of triggered something in them. And then the person also mentioned it to the daughter. And the daughter said, what does that guy mean? Why will he use that, say, don't call me black? And by the time she explained the way I explained myself, the daughter too said, well, you see, the point is that people always get it. It's just to have that dialogue, to start kind of taking a step back and to really think through why this label, who started this label. But today what I wanted to do was just to kind of give a context. I would say maybe this kind of idea came to me, I would say maybe around, it's been about 4 years, around 4 years now. Prior to that, yes, I always refer to myself as also black. But you see, what happened was this. 4 years ago, something kind of triggered certain things processed in my mind. But let me backtrack a little bit to just kind of give a background or context around this. When I came to Canada, I think time is kind of going fast. Time flies, I've been here for 15 years now. But when I came to Canada, something struck me. Honestly, before coming to Canada, I never really appreciated what slavery was, the damage done by slavery. I never appreciated this at all, but I don't know where or when it started. But coming to Canada, it's not as if I experienced racism or anything like that, but maybe I picked up something and then I began to try to understand this slavery thing. And wow, by the time I got to appreciate what slavery, the damage done, this damage done by slavery is kind of deep. Yes, slavery has been abolished a long time ago, but the effect is still there. The psychological effects are still going on. It's like a wound that is not completely healed, and it is still kind of operating in the consciousness of humanity. And that's where I found myself. And honestly, there was one day when I was contemplating what happened during the slavery days. At one point, I felt the pain. I felt what those people went through, being taken from their, without, just because of their skin color, I've been transported through the sea, the pain, um, the struggle. I mean, it was, for me, I went through a roller coaster of emotion, anger, confusion, bitterness. I went through those roller coaster when this thing hit me, when I began to appreciate what they went through. That was where I was, and I kind of asked myself, what can be done? You see, what I believe is this: what we are talking about has something to do. It's not through a physical thing. We're talking of a psychological, uh, at the spiritual level now, of an unconscious bias that is still operating in the mind of humanity. You cannot, how will I say, it's an operating system. You do not fight that physically. You need to deal with it at that same level. You have to, more like an operating system, that you need to rewrite that operating system to put something new in it. That's where I was trying to contemplate, how do we, even if it's just a little shift, to bring about eradication of this unconscious bias, as it's still like an unhealed wound. And one other key thing that struck me was how deep this issue is. Let me explain it. Prior to coming to Canada, sometimes I feel embarrassed about this, but certain times you get to, let things come out, and so that you kind of, you're over it. I used to think that people of the lighter skin, of European descent, were superior. At one point, honestly, at the back of my mind, I used to think that probably they don't even get angry, that probably don't even use a washroom. That is how bad it is. Then I asked myself, how come did I have this type of idea? Where did I pick it up from? Because if I look at it, I would say I come from a middle class family, because right from, I would say, my grade 12, or maybe grade 10, probably grade 10, we've been traveling from Nigeria to London to have a summer vacation. So like every year we go to London. So I asked myself, but where did I pick this concept? Where did I get this idea that another person, just because of their shade of the color of their skin, as superior? That's what got me to really start thinking. This shows me that somebody way back in time, well, that person did a very good job. They did a very good job to kind of plant this idea in the subconscious, the consciousness of humanity. Because I asked myself, how else would I have picked up that kind of idea? And then I said, you know what? I gotta do something about this in my own little way. Because if I can think that way and I become aware of it, there could be several people that even have that kind of thinking and supporting this stupidity that wants race is better than another race. So that's where I found myself. That's where I was when I began to think. I began to contemplate. You know, it's not that by part of my mind, I listen to my inner being, my inner awareness to surface things for me. And then an idea came to me. I said, you know what? Well, I do know that what started this, that we're still kind of operating to this moment, this unconscious bias, was because way back in time, even my own ancestors, they one way or the other supported this because it couldn't have gone on for, I think maybe, did it go on for 400 years? It was too long. It was that fact that it went for so long. And when something like that goes for so long, you need to justify it. And through that, you build concept to show that, yes, what is being done is right. You need to give an idea that this particular race is beneath, and you have to justify so that that trade can go on. So that's where I was. I was now thinking, okay, definitely my own ancestors support it. And I was thinking, okay, probably way back in time, maybe at some point in time, if I go back my ancestral lineage, maybe there was somebody who I can ride, on whose shoulder I can ride, probably somebody who did not support this kind of stupidity. But when I stayed in it and contemplated it, something rose from my depth of my soul, and I said, don't go that side, don't go that way. Go back, even further back. Go further back before you experience this thing called this birthing experience. I didn't really get it. I should go back in time before this birthing experience. Then it occurred to me, what I'm hearing is this, that is, even I need to go back to time when I was, where I am as the I am, with the I am that I am. That was before even I experienced this so-called birthing experience. That is how far I needed to go. Well, I didn't share this with anybody. That was where I was. And I also stayed with it, accepted it. Because sometimes when things come like that, you might not really understand what is surfacing. But as long as you can accept it, the depth of your own soul will reveal more to you because it knows that you are ready for it. I accepted that fact. Yes, I need to go back in time, even before I experienced this so-called birth. That's that. Before the time I was even born into this world, that is where I need to go back to. That's what I stayed. And as I stayed in that awareness, later on, that's when this idea surfaced that I need to drop this thing called black. Stop calling yourself black. It is a label, and within that label, this very concept of black is filled with struggle. It fills with trying to prove something. You don't need to prove anything. You are more than enough. So why put on a garment that somebody else probably at one point in time it made sense? Doesn't make sense now. Drop it. So that's where this idea came to me. Don't call yourself black. And apart from that, what it means is that as I stay in this awareness, I remove myself from this duality of black, of white, because the so-called white has its own label, its own connotation, which has to do with something to do with, elevated stupidity, supremacy, and so on. The fact that you remove your own support at the unconscious level, you are also indirectly kind of over time, because there will be no support for that stupidity. If there's no support, nothing else propping it up. It is staying in this so-called blackness that you're unintentionally supporting the other group, and then you keep on having that, continuous cycle of stupidity, of fighting, of proving something, and so on. But why fight? Go to the beginning before you even enter this so-called this battling experience. And as you stay in it, the support, and as more people, even as you stay in it, you're helping other people to wake up. And as more people wake up in this awareness, of course, this so-called thing will die a natural death. It will die a natural death. It will fizzle out because there's no support for it again. No support for it. And that's why I wanted to give this context. Not just, because when I had that idea about going back in time, even before this battling experience, I'm glad I stayed in it. Why? I'll tell you, because I started reading the works of Alfred Aiken. This is an awakened soul. Like I said, I'm glad I really stayed in when that awareness came to me. I will share what is said about body, which reaffirm what came to me a few years ago. Let me read that piece. Alfred Aiken said, it's on body. Was talking in a chapter in the book that which is. The chapter is on body. He said this way: the presence of God is forever a positive exclusion of evil, of every form, from every form. God is not playing God to his children, nor to the offspring of Adam, an animal race of persons. God is God to himself alone. There is no other to whom it can be God. Infinite intelligence, being all there is. In the light of the above, what then is my body? As a general rule, almost everyone believes his body to be his identity, to be himself. Due to this gross misidentification, one finds himself in constant bewilderment and difficulty. Instead of appearing as he is in truth, he assumes he is material, living in a body, weighing so much, occupying so much space, of such and such age, color, gender, and national extraction. However, one's body is not his identity. He is not in it. He is not in it. It is in God, in mind, consciousness. Body is idea. It is an idea in consciousness, but it is never conscious. Body is an idea, like a blade of grass, a wisp of cloud, a twinkling star. Everything in mind is idea. All ideas, things exist in substance. God, mind, being, consciousness only. Body is forever in intelligence, but it is never intelligent. Body has no separate mind of its own. It is in life, but life, God, can never be in body. It is forever in awareness, but never is awareness in body. Only mind is eternally aware. In summary, what it's saying is that disregard this so-called body. Go back to the formless being that you are, the I that I am, and that confirms the awareness that came to me when I was contemplating how to go about eradicate this stupidity, this unconscious bias that is still raging in the mind of man. Man with breath in his nostrils. Basically, I'm so glad I stayed in it. I'm so glad, even though at that point, nobody kind of understand, I guess, I've not read this anywhere. I don't even see people talking about it the way I'm talking about it. But coming across the works of Alfred Eichen, I see, yes, don't, and I'll say it again, don't call me black. Respect to those who still feel passionate about that label, but I believe it is time for this stupidity, this unconscious bias that is raging in the mind of humanity. It is time to pull away this support. And I believe one of the ways to take away this support that is still supporting this stupidity, this supremacy, or whatever it's called, is this label. And I refuse and I reject anything that identifies me by some stupid color. My skin is not even. This is what black looks like. And this is what, I mean, where's white? This is what white looks like. White looks like this. You know, who is this? This is a ghost. So there's no black, there's no white. Anyway, just wanted to give some context about, because maybe I'll come across you, if I hear you calling yourself that label, well, I will just state my own point. I'm not saying anybody to agree, but I stand in what the depth of my soul shows me. And I'm so glad so glad that I stayed in it, even though it didn't make sense. I didn't really understand. And I'm seeing somebody else kind of articulating it the way I cannot even articulate it in the work of Alfred Eichen. Anyway, this is a long one. I hope you have a very nice day. I hope you got some ideas from this. Thanks for listening, and bye.